Alarm bells are ringing in the U.S. Venezuela is acquiring the Russian Su-75 to challenge the F-35. The news hit the continental geopolitical scene like a lightning bolt. Venezuela would have the acquisition of the Russian Su-75 Checkmate has been finalized, the fifth-generation fighter jet that Moscow is promoting as the direct and affordable response to the American F-35. Although the information has not yet been officially confirmed by Caracas, various military sources in the region claim that preliminary agreements have already been signed and that the first prototypes could arrive in the South American country in the coming years. The announcement generated immediate reactions from the U.S. Department of Defense, where analysts describe the move as an unprecedented technical and strategic escalation in the Western Hemisphere. The Su-75, still in advanced development, has been presented by Russia as a stealthy, low-cost fighter with highly competitive air-to-air and air-to-ground combat capabilities against the F-35 Lightning II. The Venezuelan government, facing years of sanctions and diplomatic isolation, reportedly saw the acquisition of the Su-75 as a unique opportunity to modernize its aging air fleet and, at the same time, send a political message of military alignment with Russia. For Moscow, the sale represents more than just a contract. It is a chance to demonstrate that its aerospace industry can continue to penetrate strategic markets despite international pressure. But what really set off alarm bells in the U.S. is not just the purchase itself, but the transformative potential this system could bring to the Venezuelan military. If the Su-75s reach technological maturity, something Russia promises for this decade, Venezuela could become the first country in the Americas, after the United States, to operate fifth-generation fighter jets. This scenario not only alters the regional balance of power, it also puts pressure on countries like Colombia, Brazil, and Chile, whose air systems, although modern, are not designed to counter a stealth fighter. Experts warn that the mere presence of the Su-75 in Venezuelan territory could force neighboring countries to increase their defense budgets, seek new alliances, and even accelerate their own air modernization programs. However, other analysts argue that the purchase could be more symbolic than operational. The Su-75 has not yet entered mass production, and Russia faces industrial limitations stemming from the conflict in Ukraine. This opens the possibility that Venezuela will seek to secure its place on the list of priority buyers, even if delivery takes several years. Despite these uncertainties, the message sent is already clear. Venezuela wants to be a prominent player again, militarily on the continental stage, and it wants to do so with a fighter jet that promises stealth capabilities, supersonic speed without afterburner, advanced sensors, and a price considerably lower than that of the F-35, which could facilitate additional purchases in the future. Meanwhile, in Washington, national security committees are analyzing the potential impact of such an advanced system in the hands of a close ally of Moscow, raises concerns that extend beyond firepower. They also include the potential for technological exchange, shared intelligence, and a Russian technical presence within Venezuelan territory. The region thus enters a new chapter of strategic tension. The potential arrival of the Su-75 in Venezuela has reignited a debate that seemed distant in Latin America. How does the Checkmate really compare to the F-35? Although the Russian aircraft still is in advanced testing phase, and the available data allows us to project a conceptual duel between the two fighters. The American F-35, considered by many to be the world's most sophisticated fighter jet, combines stealth capabilities, integrated sensors, and an exceptional level of interoperability. Its design focuses on dominating the airspace through a key informational advantage: seeing before being seen. Its global partnerships enable continuous upgrades and an unparalleled support network. The Su-75, on the other hand, was conceived by Russia as an economic counterattack and technological. Moscow claims its aircraft offers a low radar signature and a top speed close to technological. At Mach 1.8, a range of up to 2,800 kilometers, and the ability to carry advanced weaponry in internal bays, mimicking the stealth design of its American competitor. All of this at an estimated cost of between $25 and $35 million, compared to more than $70 million of the F-35. If these figures are confirmed, Venezuela could achieve something that seemed unthinkable a decade ago. Access to stealth technology at a relatively affordable price, which would completely change its strategic position on the continent. Military analysts indicate that the real challenge for the U.S. is not just the capabilities of the Su-75, but the military doctrine that Russia could transfer to Venezuela. This includes combat tactics, training systems, radar upgrades, and possibly the integration of long-range air-to-air missiles, such as the R-77M. With such a combination, the Su-75 could position itself as a serious counterweight to any fourth-generation aircraft in the region. It could even compromise U.S. operations in the Caribbean, especially if Venezuela also receives complementary detection systems. Neighboring countries are watching with concern. In Colombia, experts warn that the aging F-35's would stand no chance against a stealth fighter. Brazil, with its Gripen NG, would have a better chance, but would still require accelerated upgrades and greater cooperation with Sweden. In Chile, the debate centers on strengthening the F-16 fleet to avoid an excessive technological gap. The key question is, when could Venezuela actually operate a fully functional Su-75? Russian timelines have varied, but the first production units are expected to be ready before 2030. If Venezuela is given priority, it could receive prototypes or pre-production aircraft even sooner. If so, the continent would enter an unprecedented period of military transition, in which a traditionally lagging air force could make an abrupt leap to the fifth generation. And although Washington is confident that its network of allies will maintain its strategic advantage, it does not hide the concern about the growing Russian influence in such a close geopolitical location. Venezuela's potential acquisition of the Russian Su-75 is not just a military event, but rather a geopolitical turning point in Latin America. The implications of this movement. They range from the modernization of air capabilities to the reconfiguration of strategic alliances on a continent that, for decades, had maintained a relatively stable balance. Stable in defense matters. Today, that balance seems to be faltering. First, the arrival of the Su-75 would force neighboring countries to immediately assess the state of their own air forces. In Colombia, the debate over replacing the F-35's has been stalled for years, but now it has taken on an urgent character. Military analysts point out that, faced with a fifth-generation stealth fighter, the F-35's would become completely obsolete. Even more modern aircraft like the Chilean F-16's or the Brazilian Gripens would potentially face an adversary capable of evading radar and operating beyond the range of their current systems. Brazil, with its Gripen NG program, would be in a better position. However, the presence of the Su-75 in Venezuelan territory could accelerate new purchases, modernizations, or even cooperation agreements with the United States and Europe to match the technological leap. In Chile, the discussion could lean toward acquiring more modernized F-16s or evaluating 4.5-plus generation aircraft, such as the Eurofighter Typhoon or the Rafale. In all cases, the economic impact would be significant. Higher defense budgets, new infrastructure investments, and greater diplomatic commitments. Meanwhile, Venezuela would position itself as a regional air power, but at a clear political cost: greater alignment with Russia. The presence of Russian technicians, advisors, and even military personnel could increase, raising concerns in Washington. The possibility of the Su-75 operating with Russian doctrines, missiles, and electronic warfare systems would make Venezuela a sensitive point on the hemisphere's strategic map, especially at a time of growing rivalry between Moscow and the West. Added to this is a key factor: the shift in Venezuelan military doctrine. The Bolivarian National Armed Forces have historically relied on mixed equipment, but with a Russian backbone. The arrival of the Su-75 would expand that dependence and could require new investments in radars, command centers, advanced trainers, and specialized maintenance. All of this implies a profound transformation that could take years, but which would already be underway since the signing of the agreement. The Caribbean, a comparatively militarily quiet region, would become an area this could lead to increased international scrutiny. The United States could expand its presence at strategic bases, strengthen alliances with Colombia, the Dominican Republic, and other nations, and even conduct joint military exercises as a deterrent. The instability generated by advanced systems in the hands of countries experiencing internal tensions could become a new diplomatic focus for the OAS and the UN Security Council. However, it's not all tension. Some analysts believe that military competition could bring positive changes, such as increased investment in technological research, local industrial opportunities, and enhanced border surveillance and cooperation to prevent misunderstandings between neighboring nations. The region, traditionally sidelined in global defense debates, could enter a phase of accelerated modernization. Even so, the central concern remains the same: the symbolic and practical impact of the Su-75. If the acquisition is confirmed and Venezuela manages to operate the fighter jet efficiently, it would become the first Latin American country to make the leap to fifth-generation aircraft. This would mark a turning point not only in the country's military history but also in the perception of regional power. For now, the continent watches. Each government weighs its options, risks, and opportunities. The question is not only what Venezuela will do with the Su-75, but how the rest of Latin America will react to a change that already seems irreversible. With this milestone, the region enters a new era. An era where advanced technology, global geopolitics, and strategic competition will once again take center stage. The Sky Latin America will no longer be the same. If you enjoyed this analysis presented in a news format, please give it a like and subscribe for more explosive content, in-depth chapters, and breaking news reports on defense, geopolitics, and science. Your support keeps this series alive.